On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, Sun Devil football begins Big 12 action against Texas Tech. We got live coverage from Lubbock coming up. We're leaping our way into the home opener with J.J. Van Niel and his volleyball crew. Some highlights and a preview of their tournament this weekend on the way. And ASU soccer earned its first Big 12 victory. We'll break down the numbers on how the Sun Devils stack up against the rest of the conference. All this and more on Cronkite Sports Live. Hi there, everybody, and welcome into our downtown Phoenix studio for this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Blake Neiman, that's Aiden Blank, and the Texas to Tempe movement flips directions once again this week as ASU heads back to the Lone Star State. A big week around campus, and as usual, it's Kenny Dillingham and his team taking center stage this weekend. A history-making conference opener coming up in Texas. That's right, Aiden. ASU enters its first Big 12 game with a perfect 3-0 record for the first time since 2019. That team went on to win 8 games, including a win over Florida State in the Sun Bowl. The 2024 Sun Devils statistically seem to be on a similar trajectory, if not a higher one. Here's the man, Sam Levitt, who looks to lead them there.
Yeah, it's really cool. You know, he's able to see the work that I put in. I'm able to see the work he puts in. So, you know, it's just there's a lot of trust there, and trust is earned, not given. So, you know, I feel like I've done a fair amount to earn it, but, you know, every day it's still, you know, I've done, you know, played in 3 games. So our team as a whole, I'm going to challenge them. You know, everybody says, you know, they're willing to die for something, but are you willing to live every single day, you know, grind every single day? How are you going to respond to success? So I can't wait for that and just look forward to getting better every single day.
Say hello to Parker Perrell, who is live in Lubbock for the game this weekend. Parker, it's an ASU team that has a lot of offensive momentum coming into this game. What did they do right in the final half last week that might help them start a little bit stronger this week?
ASU had its fair share of struggles, down by 14 early in the first half against Texas State. And earlier that week, Kenny Dillingham in his press conference talked about how he would find out who his team was from when they were trailing. And the first time they trailed all this season was against Texas State, and Arizona State answered. Previous years, Arizona State, they haven't been able to answer when they were trailing, but this team proved they were different, and a big part of that was forcing 3 turnovers, one of them coming in the clutch with Xavier Alford getting the game-sealing kick coming late in the 4th quarter.
Texas Tech has had their struggles, but this is a team that put up a pretty head-turning number last week. What's the plan for Joey McGuire's bunch offensively on Saturday?
Texas Tech, they had a fun week last week, putting up 66 points over the University of North Texas, over the Mean Green, and it was a rocky start for Texas Tech. Needed overtime to beat Abilene Christian, and then lost to Washington State 37-21. But this is a fun group offensively for Texas Tech, averaging over 350 passing yards per game and 44.7 points per game as well. They can get into the end zone with ease, as Baron Morton has 10 passing touchdowns so far this season, with 2 of them coming by the way of Jalen Conyers, former ASU tight end. The air raid has always been a friend to Texas Tech, and the air attack for the 2024 campaign for Texas Tech looks to hold true as they take on a 3-0 red-hot Arizona State squad.
Parker Perrell on site for us this weekend. Enjoy the football, my friend, and watch out for any flying tortillas at halftime. Tomorrow marks the first meeting between the Sun Devils and the Red Raiders in 7 years. ASU's home-and-home with Texas Tech in 2016 and 17 was one that will be remembered for decades. And now together in the same conference, they will look to create that same excitement on Saturday. For a flashback on the thrilling moments between these two, it's time to crack open the vault. Let's take things back to September 16th, 2017, the last time ASU took a trip to Lubbock. In the final year of the Todd Graham era, the Sun Devils looked to finish off their non-conference schedule strong. but were met with an unpleasant welcome from the Red Raiders, who shot out to a 21-3 lead. Trailing by as much as 18, Arizona State stormed all the way back, behind Manny Wilkins' 326 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Tied at 45-all with under 2 minutes to go, the Red Raiders stole the Devils' hopes at a victory on a Dylan Cantrell game-sealing touchdown. So when was the last time ASU beat Texas Tech? Let's flip the calendar back to the year before in Tempe, where one of the most action-packed college football games of all time went down. The Patrick Mahomes-led Red Raiders came to the desert ready for battle. That battle became a scoring war, with 128 total points being scored in the Saturday night showdown. Through the first 3 quarters of play, neither team could pull away, as Mahomes dissected the Sun Devil defense through the air on a record-setting 540 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Yet ASU overpowered the Red Raiders with a Kalen Ballage barrage. The junior running back invaded Texas Tech's territory to the point of near surrender, scoring an FBS record 8 total touchdowns in a single game, good for 48 of ASU's 68 points that helped the Devils march onward to victory.
After traveling more than 3,000 miles to compete in their first 3 tournaments of the season, ASU Volleyball finally got to hold a tournament of their own. They opened the Webb Burbridge Classic, looking to improve on their 8-1 record with a matchup against Prairie View A&M. The number 14 team in the nation got off to a quick start, taking a double-digit lead in the first set and never looking back, a 25-7 first set victory. Head coach J.J. Van Niel looking to improve on a historic season last year, and his team off to a strong start at home. In the second set, Panthers did put up a little bit more of a fight, staying within a point of the Sun Devils' lead for most of the match before slipping away into a 25-10 defeat. The last set saw Prairie View continuing to fight, but ASU's offensive and defensive dominance took over, highlighted by a 20-dig performance from Tempe's own Mary Stroll, putting her over 1,500 digs on her career. The libero coming off a week where she received Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week recognition. She's going to be a key part to the Sun Devils' success over the year. The point here for the game and for the set, a powerful kill by Shania Cromartie. A&M stunned in the final set, 25-17, and the Sun Devils complete the sweep. Here's J.J. Van Niel after the match.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's phenomenal to be home. Being on the road, I think I've mentioned this before, but you schedule your preseason and you look and you're like, oh, we're going to Nashville and we're going to San Diego and you got all these cool trips, but it's a grind, and it's really nice to be at home, sleep in our own beds. I know the players love it, and it was nice to see us come out and execute.
The Devils' hot start has been headed by veteran middle blocker Claire Jeter. The 6'3" grad student has not committed a single error in 138 total attempts, capitalizing on over half of those opportunities with a team-best .536 hit percentage. Our Tyler Weiss has more on Jeter's journey.
Growing up about 100 miles away from College Station, Texas, Claire Jeter always dreamed about playing for Texas A&M. She fulfilled her dreams in 2020 when the middle blocker committed to the program, but unfortunately, it didn't go quite the way she envisioned. Jeter then entered the transfer portal and made the move to Arizona State in 2021, and she hasn't looked back since. It didn't take long for Jeter to make a name for herself as a starter at ASU. Her 115 blocks in her sophomore season were the most by a Sun Devil since 2016 at the time. In 2022, she suffered an MCL sprain, but that didn't stop her, as she wore a brace on her left knee that she still wears to this day for the entirety of the next year, as she helped lead ASU to a 28-7 record and the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament.
We had a great year last year, obviously, so going in with the same coaching staff, and everyone has to play their best and everyone has to put on a performance, and knowing that they're going to put us in great situations to play our best definitely has that comfortability spot for me.
A year later, Jeter is back for year 2 under head coach J.J. Van Niel, where she's blossomed into the most efficient offensive player in the nation with a .549 hitting percentage. Unlike last year, ASU is now a nationally renowned program, and Jeter is ready to lead the Devils with the weight of expectation on their shoulders.
I think that we have the same approach. We had the same goals last year. I think that people just doubted us last year. I think people know that we're coming in hot this year, so the approach has stayed the same. Now we just know that we have to prove it again and let people know it wasn't a fluke.
Jeter has witnessed the rise of ASU volleyball, and her growth reflects how much the program has improved since she arrived in Tempe. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Tyler Weiss.
Action continues for Arizona State tonight in Game 2 of the Webb Burbridge Classic, a 7 p.m. first serve as they face the Memphis Tigers. Let's head out to Desert Financial Arena where Nate Mills is standing by. Nate, how are things looking up in Tempe?
The Sun Devils began the Webb Burbridge Classic with a dominant victory over Prairie View A&M as they defeated the Panthers in straight sets. ASU now improves to 9-1 on the season. ASU suffocated Prairie View right from the start as the Panthers weren't able to score more than 17 points in any of their sets. Matter of fact, they couldn't even reach double digits in set one. It's the fourth time this season that the Sun Devils have held their opposition to a hitting percentage below 100, and that's thanks in part to Savannah Colheed, who led the team in blocks with 4 out of the team total of 7. ASU spread the wealth on offense as well as 5 players contributed to 6 or more kills that evening. But it was Bailey Miller who shined the brightest with 9 kills on the night. ASU looks to maintain their momentum as they host the Memphis Tigers at 7 p.m. Memphis is coming off a win of their own against Montana State from last night in their 3-1 victory. They improved to 6-4 on the year. In front of Desert Financial Arena, Nate Mills, Cronkite Sports.
Sun Devil Soccer is 2 games into Big 12 play and just earned their first victory over Houston 2-0 last night. Our Jacobs Brooks has more on their start in the new conference.
In what seemed like the blink of an eye, Sun Devil Soccer is already almost halfway through Big 12 road play, with mixed results thus far. A 1-0 loss at BYU last Thursday was followed up with a bounce-back 2-0 win at Houston last night. The Sun Devils were 3rd in the Big 12 standings after non-conference play with an undefeated 5-0-2 record. However, BYU brought ASU back down to earth. In the loss to the Cougars, the Sun Devils had a season-low 8 shots and didn't convert on any of their opportunities. Last night against Houston, Arizona State returned to its non-conference ways, scoring 2 goals on an improved 16 shots. Both goals came from standout freshman Kiera Blundell, whose 7 goals so far this year have her on pace to be the first Sun Devil since Nicole Douglas to lead the squad in goals as a freshman. With less than 10 games to go, Arizona State's 1-1 conference record has them ranked 6th in the Big 12 and 139th in the most recent RPI. This ASU squad showed its talent throughout the non-conference slate, but now that has to translate to conference wins. Overall, the squad hopes to look like the version seen against the Houston Cougars, not the Cougars of BYU. And although the vibes have to be high coming off a first ever Big 12 win, there's another tough road opponent waiting for the Sun Devils Sunday morning in the form of UCF. Jacob Brooks, Cronkite Sports.
Arizona State has officially launched into Big 12 play, and the Sun Devils are ready to rock. Now, a big matchup this weekend with UCF. We will we'll check in over here to go by the numbers as we take a look at how the Sun Devils stacked up against the rest of the conference.
Arizona State has officially launched into Big 12 play, having already completed in 2 conference matches. Let's go by the numbers to evaluate how Sun Devil Soccer stacks up in its new digs. The Sun Devil stats compared to those of a below-average team jump off the screen. ASU ranks 50 places below this team in RPI, despite scoring a goal and a half more per game. That team is the Houston Cougars, whom the Sun Devils defeated 2-0 last night. Houston ranks dead last in the Big 12 in goals. Concerningly, ASU's RPI lacks behind one of the Big 12's worst teams. The 2 teams are similar attacking squads, putting up over 2 goals per game. But once again, ASU's RPI falls substantially behind. This team is the UCF Knights, whom the Sun Devils have a big matchup with on Sunday. UCF comes into this game over 70 spots above the Sun Devils, meaning ASU could have a chance to climb the rankings. Lastly, when comparing ASU stats to this powerhouse team, it's clear the Sun Devils fall flat, over 100 spots below this Big 12 leader. That team is the Oklahoma State Cowgirls. OK State holds a top 30 offense and a top 10 defense, one of 5 teams in the country with both. Despite OSU's loss last night, that's who Arizona State is chasing in the Big 12 Conference. All in all, guys, the Sun Devils have huge voids to fill if they want any chance at a tournament bid come November. Guys.
ASU softball has released its fall ball schedule, and the Diamond Devils will host Embry-Riddle next Wednesday for the first of 7 games this fall, capped off by the Maroon and Gold scrimmage.
It was an action-packed summer for Sun Devil Swim and Dive, not only in the pool, but also on the coaching front. As announced back in April, Herbie Bain, former associate head coach, has taken over, quickly mapping the new hires on his staff, looking for an immediate impact in Tempe. One of those is new associate head coach Dave Salo. He comes to the desert after a 4-year break from college swimming. Salo was also the head coach of USC for 14 years, leading the Trojans to multiple finishes in the top 6 at the NCAAs. He brings respect and experience into the room, a good balance for the rookie Bain. And a little bit of an outside-the-box hire in data scientist Corey Manley. He's been crunching numbers at USA Swimming since 2023 after previously working in the financial sector. Manley's data-driven background will have him be a trailblazer in the NCAA and for Arizona State in the upcoming season.
Time for top plays, baby, and Kiera Blundell has been a standout freshman for ASU soccer all season long and does it once again. First of 2 goals in ASU 2-0 victory over Houston.
We talked about Mary Schroll earlier in the show, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. There's a little offense. You're not returning that, Blake. Big sweep in the first home match of the season for Arizona State.
And more for Sun Devil volleyball in our top play of this week. Big rallies back and forth, but another immense save by Schroll, going down and getting that one out of bounds. And then the Sun Devils keep the rally going and ultimately get the point and the sweep over Prairie View A&M. That does it for our show this week here in Studio 6. Sun Devil volleyball will continue to be in action for the rest of this weekend. ASU football tomorrow afternoon in Lubbock. That's Aiden Blank. I'm Blake Neiman. For our entire crew, we thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.